Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of The Mistake Zone, your weekly dose of our lives and the mistakes within them. My name is Jaren Wade. Joining me, as always, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Alba. Hey, Matt.
Yo.
How are you doing?
Yo, I'm doing good.
Matt, that's great, and I'm back.
Yo, welcome back, Jaren.
I'm home here in the Mistake Zone, and before we start, I want to give a big thanks to you and our boy Rakush for holding it down the last 2 weeks.
Hey.
Matt, I caught up with the episodes. I listened to, I need to be up to date with Mistake Zone lore and, some inside baseball once again. Matt, I told you already, Rakush said some things I didn't agree with, but I love him anyway, Matt. Love him anyway. And as I said, I'm back, Matt.
Jaren.
Been away for 2 weeks, went to Japan for, a little over a week, went to Korea for a little under a week. So I have plenty of mistakes that I would like to share with you this week, but there are some other mistakes I also want to share with you. But Matt, more inside baseball. We had a rocky kind of start to this episode just because I haven't been doing this for 2 weeks. And I'm trying to get back in the groove. But Matt, before we get into all the mistakes that I was fortunate enough to partake in over the last 2 weeks, I wanted to try something. Okay, Matt, I just wanted to try something on our audio podcast that our friends online listen to. And essentially when we were in, my home, my third, fourth, fifth home, Akihabara, Matt, this household is a household that fancies collectible trading cards, for better or for worse. And there was one hobby station in particular that was sort of near the KFC in Akihabara that, we entered. On the first floor, there was a bunch of Y Schwartz cards. There was a bunch of Magic cards, Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Go up to the second floor, even more cards. You can find your sleeves and whatnot. And Matt, there was one display case in particular that caught my eye. And essentially, it was lined up with a bunch of Y Schwartz cards with, the backs facing the shopper. And on it was a sign saying, hey, for 1,000 yen, you can pick one of these cards and they're guaranteed a certain rarity. I think it was at least an SP rarity card. And that, this went from SP to, higher ups. You potentially could get a signed HoloLive card. And Matt, you know how my relationship with Gacha. And
of course.
I had to do it, Matt. I had to do it. I had picked 2 cards and hopefully he's not listening, but I may have picked up our boy Mark a One Piece Gacha card as well because he's into that. But Matt, for our audio podcast, I've been sitting on these 2 cards for the last week or so, and I wanted to kind of just open them up with you here on the Mistake Zone just to see what I get. And this will potentially end poorly, which Matt, you know me, I don't really plan a lot of stuff here on the Mistake Zone, but I'm pulling my first Y Schwartz card from the gacha. And Matt, let's see if my 1,000 yen paid off. And I flipped it over. There's multiple cards in this pack. And let's see. That's kind of nice for them. And I got a Holo Flare card, not signed.
Damn.
A promo Okayu card, and another promo Okayu card. not great right now. Not great. But I rolled a second time, and hopefully this goes a lot better. But Matt, it probably won't go that well.
Jaren, you gotta dream for the big gacha pull.
That's true. Okay, Matt. Let's see. I got 2 Nene cards, not signed.
Damn.
And Hollow Roboco card, not signed.
Damn. Damn.
That
Didn't get the big gotcha.
feels real bad, but I did it with you, and that's all that
Yeah,
matters.
Jaren, that's content. That's content.
Hopefully, this will work out in some way, but yeah, so I guess I'll start off with kind of my trip,
Yeah.
and hopefully, this doesn't bore you for the next hour. So I did some other stuff that I think we could also, just talk about this week as well. But as I said before, we went to Japan and Korea for the last 2 weeks. We spent, I believe, 6 days in Tokyo, 3 days in Osaka, and another 6 days in Korea. But Matt, I wanted to kind of start off with on a kind of a weird note, just because you've gone to Japan a handful of times, and
Yes.
this is my second time going to Japan. The first time we went back in Matt 2019, my golden year, and I think for me personally, I don't know how it was about you, but for me, going to Japan in 2019 was the first time that I really went overseas, an international trip when I'm at a good age where I can really appreciate it. I've been to the Philippines as a kid a lot, but I think as a kid, you don't really have that, for lack of a better term, mental capacity to really appreciate, what's happening. And
Yeah.
for me to go so long without taking a overseas trip, I think built up this, I wouldn't say it was life changing in a way a lot of people say they take this life changing, vacation. But for me, it meant a lot to me because it was the first time I was out on my own without like my family. And that really resonated me in some way where a lot of things were new to me for the first time, experiencing, a different culture, yet there is some familiarity to, the kind of city life that we're used to. And I think when I first arrived in Japan for 2023, unfortunately, it's, the ghost of 2019's past that really got into my head where all of a sudden I'm kind of comparing things to my trip from 4 years ago and realizing, of course things wouldn't be the same. And what I mean by that is, we went to, I think in the first 2 days or so, we went to, my old haunts. We went to Tsukiji, the fish market, and I got a bit emotional there just because that's where we stayed the first time I was there. But went to Akihabara, we went to, some shops in Harajuku, went to some shops in Shibuya, and we went to Teamlabs Planets. So it's kind of the same things that we did the first time around, but they were different in a way that it kind of got to me, if that makes sense, where Teamlabs Planet, I'll probably go into Teamlabs a bit later, but the first time we went to Teamlabs Borderless, which isn't there anymore. Planets is in its place before Teamlabs Tokyo opens up, I believe, sometime this year. For those that don't know, Teamlabs is essentially kind of one of those interactive art exhibitions that, you can go around, interact with the different exhibits, and it's a lot more sensual in a way. And, Planets to me didn't compare to Borderless. Or when I went to Akihabara, I went to some of the older shops that I went to previously, and like they were all different. I was walking around Shibuya, I was going to Harajuku, again, different shops that back in 2019 felt so much, I felt like shock and awe, like just didn't have the same effect on me this time. And I kind of got into my head where, everything's different. And I feel like that's such an unfair headspace to have, especially when I'm fortunate enough to be going on vacation right now. So I think once I kind of got out of that slump, comparing everything to 2019, I started to enjoy the trip a lot more. And Matt, I think I need to preface this by saying, as I continue, another bummer part about the trip was this is just advice to anyone out there. Remember to plan out your trips. Remember to plan out your transportation because Matt,
Oh, did you get stuck somewhere, Jaren?
we didn't get stuck somewhere per se, but we essentially in 2019, I think I went with my partner and we were a lot more on top of things than we were this time around. This time around we went with four other friends, so we're a group of six, and I think Matt, you and I both know traveling with a big group of people it's a good experience, but it can also lead to its own unique set of headaches. And especially since we were kind of the quote unquote veterans in Japan, there were some things that we also kind of missed where when we took the train from the airport to like the first major subway station, we forgot that, you kind of had to get your reserved seating in advance. So when we went onto the train from the airport, we kind of just like walked to the end of the car for some reason, and then we sat somewhere randomly, and then people came up and saying, "Hey, sorry, you're in our seats." And we realized, we didn't actually properly reserve a spot on this, train. So we're just standing on the back in between carts. We're kind of flagging the sensor so the door behind us keeps opening and closing and people are just staring in. Not a great start, Matt. And then Mount Fuji was something that me and my partner didn't do back in 2019. And unfortunately, we didn't plan this out either. So the way we went about it was we looked on Google Maps. They said, hey, go to this subway platform, stand in cars 1 to 3, and then you're good to go. Matt, luckily, one of our friends wandered around the station platform and then found out, we need to buy, an actual ticket for this train for reserved seats. We got our tickets proper. Unfortunately, we didn't get reserved seats. It told us to go to carts 1 to 3. One of the new, I think, station attendants was a bit confused, and he told us to go to cart 9. And that same thing happens. We sat in seats. They're reserved. We have to go between different carts. And I guess for like 2 hours, we're just standing in between carts 4 and 5. And again, this is happening to a lot of other tourists around us. So all of a sudden, the in-betweens gets packed. We have to move somewhere else. And then luckily we hear the announcement that, okay, if you're going to Mount Fuji, you really have to be in carts 1 to 3 because the train will kind of separate and carts 4 and 12 will go somewhere else and 1 to 3 will continue on to Mount Fuji. And so we get to, that destination, the train separates, and then we're walking to our transfer train. Matt, while we're walking to the transfer train, we see this is going to sound so bad, but we see a mother freaking out on her phone while holding her 2 kids because from what we gathered, Matt, her husband stayed in cart 6 and train got separated, and I believe he had everything and she just had the kids, and it was just her freaking out on the platform, everyone awkwardly walking around her. Felt real bad, Matt.
Oh, that sucks.
And we get to the transfer gate to get to our new train, and this is where having to buy the ticket previously bites all the tourists because you need to insert your ticket into the ticket gate so you can actually get through the ticket gate, get to the transfer. So you have a bunch of people trying to buy their ticket to get through the gate.
Yeah.
2 of the gates aren't working for some reason, so it's just like a bunch of other people trying to go through 2 gates in itself. We get to the Mount Fuji train. It's packed. We're sardines for another hour. And you can tell that our group in itself, the morale is just really down because the moment we got there, okay, we need to figure out how to get back just so it's smooth sailing from there. So we go, just go around the area, got some really good pictures of Mount Fuji. I didn't know Mount Fuji has their own anime girl mascot. I don't know her proper name. I call her Fuji-chan because I assume that's her name.
That makes sense.
Took some pictures with her cutout. I had a good time. We managed to go back in one piece, but yeah, Matt, I think it was just all this kind of compounded in the first like 2, 3 days. And I guess the end cap for my bummer start of this trip was Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I went to Akihabara with my normie friends,
Okay.
essentially.
Uh-huh.
And for also, one thing to note too is me and my partner, we forgot our passports at home, so we wouldn't be able to be eligible for any tax-free purchases. So
Okay.
uh, two of our friends graciously said, we'll go around with you just in case you need to buy something. We have our passports. You can get the tax-free stuff. And of course, they're just being bros out of courtesy, but you can tell they're really tired. And that, as someone who loves Akihabara and would love nothing more than just to go around and browse and whatnot, kind of going around with not only your normie friends, but normie friends who are tired really piles on the guilt. Because Matt, just going around with my friends and then them being a bit kind of confused and by all like the scantily clad anime figures that essentially surround them at that point. Matt, you'd feel some type of ways if you were in my shoes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was this part of me where, surprise, I was in a HoloLive section of this one store, and I'm browsing through all the different merch. Spoilers, Matt, picked you up a cool Pekara keychain.
Nice.
And I'm looking at the keychains and like all the different buttons and stuff, and unfortunately my normie friends were looking at the Relax Wear HoloLive figures. And it's that notion of, are people like really quote unquote into these kind of figures? And it's like, how do you like kind of explain your way out of this saying, I'm not into like, I'm into HoloLive, I'm not into these figures, but I'm kind of into like you know what I mean, where I think just at that point I was like, okay, let's just go back. If we come back to Akihabara at some point, we come back. But I think after those first few rocky days, I started to like really enjoy my time in Tokyo and like the surrounding areas again. And once I got all those quote unquote negative thoughts getting out of that headspace, I finally was able to actually enjoy this opportunity that I had to go back to Japan. And luckily my partner and I were able to go kind of explore on our own, go back to Akihabara, Harajuku, Shibuya, and just go at our own pace. Because while I love traveling with friends, it's also good just to be able to go out on your own, go at your own pace. But I've been talking a lot, but there's something I wanted to ask you, Matt.
Okay.
Where as I said before, this was my second round to Japan. You've gone multiple times, and when you do a round to a vacation spot that you've been to before, how much of the tourist things do you redo? Like, how much of the cultural stuff or cultural locations do you redo? And as opposed to kind of just, going about more, let's say, pedestrian things like shopping or stuff like that.
I think for me personally, the things that I redo are dependent on who I'm going with, right?
Right.
Because if it's the other person's first time going, then I think there's certain touristy stuff that I think are worth redoing. Like,
Right.
for example, like going to Akihabara, going to Shibuya, going to Harajuku, like those really kind of, I don't want to say Japan-defining places, but like the really, really popular places, like places you would have heard of even if you aren't too into Japan, right?
Right.
And I feel like those places are all big enough that they're also popular enough that they're gonna be different enough between enough times that I go that I'm interested in going back there. Personally, myself, I'm not much of a shopper,
Right.
so I don't really have an answer for you on the shopping stuff, because when I'm buying things, it's really honestly only the one Akihabara day is the day that I'm really looking for stuff, and honestly, I'm just there to buy a Gundam. I don't really have to go into too many different places, because I'm assuming that you were also looking for kind of I guess, specific figures or specific things that are more collectible
Right.
than something like a Gundam, which would just be sold in a shop that's like, hey, we have this figure, it's here for you to build, and you don't really have to do too much specific searching for anything. So I guess I like there I'm a bit off the hook for dragging people around to go shopping, but like there's a couple things that I think are always worth, like I said earlier, like worth redoing. I think anytime you go to, or anytime I go to Japan, I think it's worth going to Tokyo. I think it's worth going to Kyoto. I think it's worth going to Osaka because those are like
Right.
the big three. But for places that are kind of off the beaten trail, I wouldn't bring somebody there unless they wanted to specifically go there for something.
Right.
Like I enjoyed Nagano, but unless somebody wanted to do something in Nagano, I wouldn't suggest specifically going there. Or I enjoyed like Hiroshima, and I think that's like very worth doing. But Hiroshima is a place that's very far west, I believe, in Japan, and it's kind of a trek to go there if you don't have housing, not housing.
Like accommodations, yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have accommodations there, so I don't know. There's stuff worth like redoing. And Jaren, if whenever I go to Japan, I just like chilling in Japan. I generally just like the vibe there. I like looking around at. Personally, I'm just a very big fan of how Japanese architecture and zoning works.
Yes.
So I'm always like happy to just kind of walk around anywhere.
Yeah, I think that was the mindset between me and my partner this time around, just because, kind of like you, Matt, I think we do like just exploring cityscapes, seeing the architecture, but just kind of, vibing with like our surroundings, whether that be people watching or just like trying to feel like a local, speaking what little broken Japanese that I know.
Uh-huh.
And I think for this time around, we didn't go to Kyoto this time with our friends just because we did that before.
Hmm.
Stuff like the Osaka Castle, we didn't do that time around just because we did that before. And
Hmm.
I think at that point when our friends offered, hey, you guys can like stay back, or we're all doing our own thing these days, that's where, not being being comfortable within your friend group, not to be, clinging on to one another, I think really makes the most out of the trip for you. And I think,
Hmm.
yeah, since we did all the cultural things, all the different temples, all the different landmarks our first time around, I think at least in Tokyo and Osaka this time, it was a bit more low key. We still did, some tourist spots here and there, but for the most part, it was us just going to like a lot of different shops, a lot of new streets, restaurants, cafes, and Matt,
Hmm.
this brings me to what a vacation for me usually devolves into, and
Okay.
that's my hall, Matt.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
so, Matt, remember how I say, the duality of man a lot? We throw that meme around a lot,
Hmm.
but I think what makes a Japan trip really dangerous for me personally is the duality of Jaren, in that,
Uh-huh.
we have weeb anime fan Jaren who goes ham in Akihabara,
Uh-huh.
but we also have normie Jaren who's going ham in Osaka for all the different vintage and like streetwear stores,
Hmm.
going to same thing in Harajuku and Shibuya, but more so for the kind of quote unquote high end streetwear things. And Matt,
Hmm.
let's say my boy Wallet Coon wasn't too thrilled once I came home because Matt tried
Hmm.
to balance your weeby activities with your stupid streetwear kind of aesthetic.
Uh-huh.
Not light on the wallet,
Uh-huh.
but Matt, I have one story for you that will. I think this is a certified classic Jaren story.
Okay.
And this happened when we were in Osaka
Okay.
because in one of the kind of in one of the big department buildings that was really close to our hotel, was the jump store.
Okay.
And so it's next to the Pokemon Center in Osaka. Like they're
Hmm.
both on the same floor. So,
Hmm.
we browsed the Pokemon Center and we saw, oh, there's the jump store. There's this big, like, mock manga with Demon Slayer on the cover, like up front that you can take a picture of. And
Hmm.
Matt,
Hmm.
The store opens at 10, but we didn't see anyone in the store, and we noticed that there was a line forming, and we thought,
Uh-huh.
okay, let's stand in this line.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So we stood on this line, and we're using our phone with the Google Translate to take pictures of the different signs. And Matt,
Uh-huh.
apparently recently there was a jump festival, and essentially at 11 a.m. they would let people into the store to buy the exclusive jump festival merch.
Uh-huh.
And Matt,
Uh-huh.
we lined up, and it got to, we were like, I don't know, maybe half a dozen people back, and it finally got to our turn. And bless her heart, the store lady was like, hey, these are the last two exclusive art coasters, do you guys want it? And again, Matt, she doesn't speak English. We're fumbling with our Google Translate app.
Uh-huh.
And at the end, we're just like, yes, we'll take it, not knowing what the heck she was giving us. And
Uh-huh.
Matt,
Uh-huh.
let's just say the person behind us looked real sad when we took those art coasters.
Damn. Oh.
And Matt,
Uh-huh.
it was our turn to go in. We took a bunch of like exclusive items that, Matt, I didn't even know what we were picking up. But I knew they were exclusive. So they went in our basket, and we checked out. And I took a picture next to the My Hero and the One Piece kind of height charts to show how tall I am in comparison to all the different characters of those respective series. And that was our time at the jump store.
Oh man, I can't believe you just crushed some random Japanese person.
And Matt, you know me, I get sentimental a lot easy. And so in the jump store in Osaka, like all around like the perimeter of the store, there's like different art panels from like the mangas. And Matt, Demon Slayer manga spoilers, if you're kind of aware about this stuff, like skip ahead like, I don't know, 30 seconds. But Matt, one of the Demon Slayer panels on the wall was, remember late into Demon Slayer, the manga, when Demon Nesco actually talked for the first time? So that panel was up on the wall, and Matt, not gonna lie, I looked at that panel and it got like misty-eyed for some reason. Matt, good chapter. I love that. I can't wait for that to be like adapted to the anime. But yeah, essentially in terms of trying to go through my haul a bit, Matt, I bought a Choco keychain, the HoloLive VTuber. And for a lot of the times, a lot of the keychains I'll put on my bag, so it will be with me on the remainder of the trip.
Yeah.
We met up with a friend that lives in Tokyo, went to dinner with her that night. And it was on the train ride back. We got onto one of the Shibuya trains, packed, of course. This was kind of coming in close to last train as well. And unfortunately, Matt, I looked at my backpack and my Choco keychain was missing. And I felt real bad, man. But yeah, in terms of Nendoroids, I bought a Kazuna AI Nendo, the 2019 version. Bought a bunch of cards. Matt sent you a bunch of pictures I took of the QQ signed cards. Matt, card? I kind of regret not paying $70 for the signed Muna Hoshinova HoloLive card. Should have did that,
Should have
Matt.
done it, Jen.
I think that the $20 I put towards those HoloLive gotcha pulls would have went real better towards that, or maybe even the signed Yofi card that was kind of cheaper in price. Matt, if there's one thing that made me feel real bad is looking at the comparisons between all the different talent signed cards and seeing who's worth more compared to other talent. Matt, Suisei, expensive.
Yeah, that
of
sounds
course.
right. That sounds right.
Callie was reasonably priced, but her signature was really nice. But yeah, Matt, got some really good haul. I got a Ichika from QQ, a ramen topper, which
nice.
I don't eat a lot of cup noodles recently, but just in case that I do. But yeah, overall, good times. Bought a bunch of cards in this household, and yeah, I had a lot of fun there once I got out of that mindset. But I think I mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to kind of briefly talk about Teamlabs, which is, of course, that interactive art exhibit. And I believe you went to Borderless, correct, Matt? When you went there, one of the times you went?
No, I didn't. I didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go to Borderless, or
No, no.
okay? So the first time we went to Borderless, and I think it set a lot of expectations just because I thought, okay, we spent a good like 4 hours at Borderless. And
Mm-hmm.
kind of as I said in the beginning, Borderless closed down. They currently have Planets, and I think that's the temporary one before Team Labs Tokyo opens up. And in Planets, I think what threw me off the most was it was essentially almost one fourth the size of Borderless, which
Uh
kind
huh.
of really took me out of it. But the one thing that really threw me off for Planets is that there's a lot of water involved in it,
Mm-hmm.
where I think it was the trippiest thing when you're essentially walking down a hallway and there's water going up to your ankles essentially, and then you get to this big open kind of art exhibit which is just a floor full of water. It has fishes and like flowers being projected there, and then you're surrounded by mirrors. Like,
Uh huh.
for those that don't know, Team Labs is essentially a photo op museum that you can kind of go around. But yeah, I think in comparison, having gone to Borderless beforehand, that was kind of in my mind, and I kind of felt bad just because a lot of my friends that we went with were asking, "Oh, how long should we expect to be here?" And I thought, "Oh, we were at Borderless for 4 hours. This might be kind of the same thing." And we were only there for like an hour and a half this time around.
Uh
So
huh. Uh huh.
in Osaka, we went to Team Labs Botanical Garden, which is kind of completely different. This was all outdoors. And I think if you're going expecting a Team Labs indoor experience, you're going to be kind of really disappointed. But for what it was, Botanical Garden, I think, was just a really cool experience. It's essentially one big park you walk through with different art installations. There's one foresty area with all these little, like, not little, but all these like bean sculptures sprinkled around the forest. The lights changes every now and then, so it really looks kind of scenic in a way that is really hard to describe.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you have that obligatory area with like the big inflatable balls that are all around you. I think that's a staple in any Team Labs
Yeah.
museum. You have this big cube in the middle of the lake that has all these different projections on it. It's really different, but I think overall I really do love the Team Labs experience just because it's so interactive. It is a photo op essentially, but I think as someone who does like going to more traditional like museums, I do like these more interactive ones just because it feels a lot more immersive to me rather than just staring at pieces. And
Mm-hmm.
Matt, which really your take on kind of those types of interactive museums? Is that something you're like a fan of, or is it something that you're not necessarily into because you're not really into the photo op
Yeah,
opportunities?
like as a person who's not really into photo op stuff, like I always thought that Team
Yeah.
Lab stuff looks interesting, but
Hmm.
I don't know if I would really spend too much time within a exhibit.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a lot of fun. I still recommend them. I the only reason I do want to go back to Japan, like kind of in the near future, is to
Mm-hmm.
kind of experience Team Labs Tokyo. But
Are the tickets for those like expensive? 'Cause I've never actually looked up how much it costs to like go in.
I think they hovered around like Botanical Gardens. I think was hovering around the $40 entry
Mm-hmm.
range.
Okay.
So it's kind of like I think it's pretty standard with a bit of a premium, but it wasn't too bad from what I
Mm-hmm.
remember. But anyway, so in Tokyo we stayed in Ikebukuro, and Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I had to bring this up just because I thought it was pretty funny.
Uh-huh.
To get to our Airbnb, we had to. You can take like the short way, which takes you to through your typical like alleyway. Like there's like Family Marts there,
Yeah,
like all
yeah.
these different shops, cafes.
Mm-hmm.
But Matt, if you take the shortcut,
Okay.
It takes you through the Love Hotel district, and
Okay.
that
Uh-huh.
I thought that was pretty cool walking by love hotels every day. But um,
Uh-huh.
anyway,
Mhm.
so I think our time in Tokyo and like Ikebukuro kind of also ended in a bummer kind of just because the day prior we wanted to do the thing where okay, we're gonna take all our big checked luggage, we're gonna subway to the Tokyo station and leave it in a locker overnight.
Mhm.
So the next day we can just hop on the train. It's going to be rush hour. We want to avoid all of that. And, we just, pretty simple trip. We go in, out, get our luggage, board our train to go to Osaka.
Yeah.
And, we were talking to all our friend that lives in Tokyo, and she said, yeah, like Tokyo Station, like all the lockers are usually empty, even with the influx of like tourists, like no one really uses them. And we thought, okay, great, cool.
Mhm.
So we take our luggage, we bring it over just after rush hour, so around like 10 a.m. And we
Mhm.
get to Tokyo Station, and Matt,
Mhm.
all the lockers were all green, meaning nothing was left open. All of them were full. We walked around for an hour to go to all the different lockers,
Uh-huh.
uh, and everything was full, Matt. I know there were like different kiosks and areas where, you can pay like a service to store your luggage overnight. But
Mhm.
one of the luggage storage places full, you couldn't do it. The other one, they opened at 9:30 the next morning, and our train to Osaka was at 9 a.m., so that was no go either. So
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
again, Matt, we thought, okay, maybe we'll just or we'll take the subway back, leave our luggage in the subway prior to Tokyo Station. But then that doesn't make sense either because you have to like, not only do you have to go to that station, you have to, you know, pay a separate fee. I don't know how transfers work just because, you're exiting the station, getting your luggage,
Yeah,
re
yeah.
entering the station. So again, bummer note, Matt. We ultimately just were fed up and we just put our luggage in Ikebukuro Station. And even though we wanted to avoid kind of taking our luggage during rush hour, not only did we have to take our luggage during lunch rush hour at that point, but then we had to take it again during the normal rush hour. But
Damn.
other than that, we got to Osaka okay, and we spent 3 days in Osaka,
Mhm.
which is a lot more than the day we initially spent there the first time around. Again, had a lot of fun there, and I don't know, Matt. It started off as a bummer for me just because I was in that weird headspace, but once I got over that hump, I was able to enjoy it a lot more.
Uh-huh.
I really did enjoy staying in Osaka for like the 3 days just because it was, of course, Osaka has like that tourist boom, of
Yeah.
course, but I think it was a lot less overwhelming than our time in Tokyo.
Mhm.
And again, it's that notion of when you're in Osaka, you have all the different districts kind of really close together. So, you'll get Osaka's version of Akihabara, and then you can walk a bit, and then you're in Osaka's version of Harajuku, Osaka's version of Shibuya,
Mhm.
and it's all these different pockets, all relatively close together within like a 40-minute walk. And
Mhm.
again, since we already did the more traditional cultural things the first time around, we were able to kind of explore the city a lot more. And that was really fun for us. And yeah, we stayed in Osaka. After 3 days there, we flew to Seoul in South Korea. And that
Mhm.
it was the trippiest thing when we got to the Korean airport, just because
Okay.
we flew from Osaka. And then when we got to the airport, it was honestly, Matt, we us six were like the only ones kind of in the arrival section just because even though our
Oh.
plane was full,
Uh-huh.
I think people were using that to transfer to other flights because,
Oh, that's
going somewhere
weird.
else. And we were like the only ones that stayed in Korea. And
Mhm.
so when we got to like customs, we were the only ones there. And that when we got to baggage, we looked, it was empty, and all 6 of our luggages were just lined up in the middle of it, and it was the spookiest thing, Matt. Like, I'll send you a pic, but it was freaking us out. Where, Matt, did we miss something? Did
Uh-huh.
something happen? But other than that, we were in our time in Korea was fun, Matt. I took a lot of convenience store bag drinks videos if you want to
Nice.
see them. But yeah, I
Uh-huh.
think
Jared, that's for our TikTok now.
that's for a
Unless you
TikTok.
posted them somewhere else.
Now, only for us, only for us. But yeah, we did. I think 2 stories that kind of stand out to us, Matt, that I
Hmm.
wanted to share before. I've been
Hmm.
talking a lot, and I apologize, and thank you for entertaining it.
Yo, Jaren. This is your return episode. We gotta make up for the 3 episodes. I guess 2 episodes that you were gone.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. But Matt,
Hmm.
I'll just say it, Matt. In
Hmm.
Korea, I plan to get my hair dyed pink or like some sort of pastel color, and I thought that would be
Okay.
really fun. Just because, I used to dye my hair in a previous life,
Uh huh.
and I thought that okay, I'm in Korea. I think they know Asian hair. I think this would be like a cool thing to do.
Uh huh.
But Matt,
Uh huh.
uh, as I said earlier in this episode, there's the duality of Jaren is Weeb Jaren and Normie Jaren. And
Uh huh.
Matt,
Uh huh.
I'm gonna tell you something disgusting that all our friends online will probably judge me for. But Matt, there's
Okay.
this street clothing line, like a higher end street design wear called BAPE, a bathing
Uh huh.
ape.
Yeah.
And the first time I went to Japan, I was able to. It was a lifelong kind of not lifelong goal, but something that I always wanted as a kid growing up was to have one of their full zip shark hoodies. And then I got one when I went back into 2019.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
I wanted to kind of commemorate the 2023 trip with another kind of full zip shark hoodie. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, when we got to Tokyo, I went to like 3 different babe shops in Japan, which was Osaka. I went to Harajuku, and then I also went to the Shibuya one
Hmm.
or the Shinjuku one. I forget where it is.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, I didn't like any of like the designs they had,
Uh huh.
and they had like a spring line that launched like a day prior to me visiting, and then the one colorway I guess I would have wanted was all sold out in all 3 locations. So okay, no
Hmm.
big deal.
Hmm.
We go to Korea. Korea has their own Bape store, and that
Hmm.
they had some colorways that Tokyo didn't have, and I bought one,
Uh huh.
and I paid the Korean kind of upcharge just because Matt.
Hmm.
They're notably more expensive in Korea than they are in Japan.
Uh huh.
And
Uh huh.
to emphasize this point, while my partner and our friend were getting their hair done, I was like browsing around and I went to a nearby Nike store. And one of the clerks saw me with my bait bag, and then he struck up a conversation. He was like, "Oh, what did you get?" I have like a camo hoodie when I went to Tokyo. And then he saw mine and he's like, "Oh, why didn't you just buy it in Tokyo? They're so expensive in Korea." And Matt, the moment he said that, I went from feeling, bad about my purchase to
Uh
real bad
huh.
about my purchase.
Uh
And
huh.
that was a nice conversation. I made a friend, even though he was low key judging me on my purchases that time.
Mhm. Mhm.
But later that night, we
Mhm.
went to that Korean night market where,
Yeah.
Matt, did you watch that Netflix street foods, I guess, show? Um, which kind of went through. There was one episode dedicated to like Korean street food.
No, I don't think I did.
Okay. In that one episode, they highlighted one stall in particular. This woman who has this hand cut and hand pulled noodle stall and dumpling stall
Mhm.
in the middle of this market. So that was something we wanted to check out. And so we go to the night market and we're trying to find her. And I think one of the things I really liked about Korea was that they have a lot of, I believe they're called Red Angels, but it's like essentially government employees dressed, I believe they're government employees, but they're dressed in all red with like, I think red Mountie hats.
Okay.
And essentially you just go up to them and they're there to help tourists, to guide you.
Oh, that's cool.
That's one thing all my friends said about like, Korean where our Korea is, just go to someone wearing red or go to an information booth and like they'll be more than happy to help you. And my partner goes up to one of the Red Angels and she's like, do you know where we can find the Netflix lady? And the guy looked at us with a big smile and says, do I know where to find the Netflix lady? Of course. Whips out a map, draws a path to get to the Netflix lady, and Matt, we were able to sit like right in front of her station when it was our turn,
man.
and she was really nice. But yeah, Matt,
That's good.
That was our time there. But yeah, I think with Korea, just because I don't have that was my first time we were going there, was like another mix of, pedestrian shopping plus doing a lot of the different cultural things as well. And it was just a really nice time there. But Matt, there's one story I wanted to tell you specifically about me leaving Korea.
Okay.
In that, in the airport, there is something called the Riot Games Arcade.
Okay.
Which is essentially like this Riot Games space for you to kind of go around. You have like a stamp system where you can go to all these different like things to check out, get a stamp. There's like a photo booth. Cool. But Matt, there are two kind of computer stations, one dedicated to League, one dedicated to Valorant.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And essentially, you can use that time to do in-store missions. And depending on how well you do the missions, you'll get like prizes, whether it be stickers, like a passport holder is like the main prize. So, Matt, let me tell you about the missions.
Okay.
For League of Legends, you play, I believe they set you up in a bot game. You play as Caitlyn. They time you, and you have to kill, I believe it's 45 creeps to get the passport holder in 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then for Valorant, they'll put you into the practice, like, the shooting range area. And it does that 30-second kind of shooting range where you have to hit targets. And I believe you have to hit 28 targets within 30 seconds to get the passport holder. And Matt, I thought, okay, I want to try to win a passport holder.
Okay.
It's been some time since I played League. At least stickers, you know what I mean, man. So I go to the League station first, and the clerk, she was really nice. She's like, "Hey, have you played League before?" And I was like, "Yeah, I played League before." Matt?
Yeah, I've played League before.
I shouldn't have said that I played League before.
Oh man,
because I legit, Matt. It's true. I played League before, but I played a lot more Heroes of the Storm than I did League, because when I sat down, I literally didn't know what to do. And the lady was just staring at me and she's like, okay, I'm just going to buy the items for you.
Oh, man.
And Matt, I forgot last hitting is a thing in League too.
Wait, isn't that the whole point of that mission that you're talking about?
Yeah. And then I realized, oh, right, because I come from a primarily HOTS background where, it doesn't matter who gets last hit. As long as you contribute to killing a creep, that creep kill counts for you or your team or whatever. And Matt, in 5 minutes, I got 23 creeps. And I thought, okay, I'm not getting stickers. So I get up, I go to the Valorant area, and, I go to the practice. And Matt, the sensitivity was wild, where I had to spend like 5 minutes kind of, playing around with the sensitivity before I kind of got it manageable. And Matt, I totally forgot that Valorant is such a headshot related, reliant game.
Oh, yeah.
That it took me a while to actually get into a groove, and my groove was 11 kills. And the guy... Both times you can tell that they're totally judging me, to the point where I said, okay, my flight's coming up. So Matt, I scurried on out of there.
Oh man! Wait, Jared, just curious. When you're adjusting sensitivity in an FPS, do you scale high or like more sensitive or less sensitive?
Matt, I think what my sensitivity for games is weird just because the mouse that I use,
Mm-hmm.
friends have used my mouse before, and I use a weighted mouse, so I feel like I need to scale it like a bit less sensitive for
Mm-hmm.
like if that makes sense because I use a heavier mouse.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm used to a certain like speed that so I don't want it to be like too fast just because my reflexes aren't at what they used to be.
Uh-huh.
And I think
Uh-huh.
that's where I kind of fall in the sensitivity scale.
I
But
see.
how
I
about you,
see.
Matt?
Oh, I skew like really low. I expect maybe like 25 a 25 centimeter slide is like a 180 turn.
Yeah, I think I'm sort of near there too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Matt, that was kind of my time in Korea. Lots of fun there.
Uh-huh.
Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I watched a lot of Korean Cartoon Network for some
Oh, nice.
reason.
What do they got? What do they got?
I watched Steven Universe in Korean. I watched
Oh,
Pokemon in Korean.
nice.
And a lot of different shows that, oh, I watched Teen Titans in Korean at one point,
Uh-huh.
and some other weird things. But overall, I had kind of a real fun trip again. Can't stress that enough. Really glad I was fortunate enough to go on these trips as well. But Matt,
Mm-hmm.
my final story that I wanted to share
Okay.
was, you know, as tourists, you are eligible for tax-free stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, it's instant on the spot. In other cases, you have to go. In Japan and Korea, it's either you get an instant tax refund or you have to go to like a tax center or, a tax kiosk or a department, and then they'll do it for you.
Uh-huh.
So I said I bought that BAPE hoodie in Korea, and that was eligible to be tax free.
Mm-hmm.
So I took it to a nearby tax kiosk and requested to get it back on my credit card.
Uh-huh.
And they told me, okay, they did something, they stamped my receipt and said, okay, you still have to take it to the airport, and that's where your tax refund is approved.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt,
Mm-hmm.
all I'm going to say is I feel like the tax-free system in Korea is kind of done in a way to kind of deter you from actually getting your refund. I say that because in the information package that they gave me, it specifically says, okay, you need to bring your receipt, you need to bring your passport, and you need to bring the items them itself to the kiosk for them to look it over and then approve your refund.
Mm-hmm.
And where that gets tricky is my partner, she bought a lot of, skincare stuff.
Uh-huh.
And you can't put that in your carry-on. You have to put that in your checked luggage.
Oh, I see.
So when we asked the kind of where you check the luggage, they said, okay, here's what you do. You need to go through security with this slip saying, I need to get a tax refund for what's in my checked luggage. Bring it all the way to the tax-free kiosk, get it checked out, get your refund, then go all the way back, exit out, and then recheck your luggage. Where
Oh, that's
at
gross.
that point, my friends were like, we're not going to do this for like $6. But
Mm-hmm.
of course, I was going to do it for my stupid expensive hoodie because I'm a dum dum. So
Uh-huh.
I take
Uh-huh.
my hoodie and I take my receipt to the tax kiosk, and they see my receipt and they see the stamp and they said, "Oh no, your refund's approved." I'm like, "No, they told me that I need to get it approved here." And they said, "No, it's stamped, it's approved, you're good." And then they waved me off, and I thought, "Okay." So I go back to another person,
Uh-huh.
show them the thing, like, the printout that says your tax refund isn't approved until you don't get your refund until someone approves your receipt or whatever.
Yeah.
And I said, "Is this not approved yet?" And they said, "No, it's stamped, it's approved." And then they waved me off again. And Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure I get home, I go through my statements, and like there's no pending like return on my credit card.
Uh-huh.
So, Matt, I'm pretty sure I'm just like out the tax. Like
You got cranked.
I'm cranked, right? Like I'm not getting that tax refund back, aren't
Uh-huh.
I?
Uh-huh. No, Jaren, I think Korea got you.
I think Korea did get me, Matt. But overall, I keep saying it, Matt, but I had a real fun time there. And Matt,
Mm-hmm.
that was a long form way of saying, so we're doing you've been twice, correct?
Yeah.
To Japan?
Yeah.
Okay. Round three, 2025? Sound good, Matt? Or
Uh,
26?
I'm good for 2025 actually. If you want to go 2025, I'm down to jam in 2025.
Okay, Matt. We'll record the mistake zone in one day. If we still have the mistake zone, we'll do it in Japan
Uh-huh.
sometime.
Oh man.
Hopefully.
Oh man.
But
Mm-hmm.
in terms of mistakes, Matt
Mm-hmm.
forgot to look for the Bang Dream Switch game.
Damn.
That felt bad. Speaking about mistakes, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
since the pandemic started, I've been able to finish top 1,000 in pretty much all the Bang Dream events.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, that streak broke when I went on this trip, Matt.
I know.
The time zones got me, Matt.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know when events started, when events ended. Of course, I'm more busier on vacation because I'm not going to be a dweeb and play Bang Dream, but
Uh-huh.
Dream's
Uh-huh.
dead, Matt. Finished, I think, 1,100 one week and then like 1,025 the other week.
Damn.
Felt bad, but
Damn.
I was on vacation, Matt. What can you do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I regret to inform you, I did not go to the Bang Dream Collab Cafe. I did not go to the Hololive Collab Cafe, and I felt
Damn.
real bad afterwards. Not a lot of Bang Dream related mistakes from this trip.
Uh-huh. You buy a lot of
But
Bang Dream merch, Jaren?
Matt, I bought a lot of Hololive merch.
That sounds about right as well.
I bought a lot of Hololive merch. Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I got this roasted green tea that had a Demon Slayer collaboration, Matt. I have the bottle still on my desk right now.
Nice. Nice.
It's Matt.
Mm-hmm.
It's sitting beside my acrylic Ichika from QQ in streetwear, who's also standing beside my acrylic Hatsune Miku in streetwear.
Wait, did you drink the green tea?
Yeah, I drink the green tea.
Oh, okay,
You
okay,
can't
okay,
bring
okay.
liquids on the plane, but I have an empty
Uh-uh.
bottle here.
Okay.
So,
Sure.
Matt,
Mm-hmm.
before we end off
Uh-huh.
my my Japan Korea adventures for 2023,
Mm-hmm.
Matt,
Mm-hmm.
did you see the Godzilla statues when you went?
No, I never saw any of the Godzilla statues.
So I saw them the first time in 2019. You know, there are two. There's like the full statue, and then there's the one on like the movie theater. And Matt,
Mm-hmm.
when shout out to all my normie friends, but when they saw the Godzilla statue in person and saw how small it was, Matt, the look of disappointment on all my normie friends' faces really got to me.
Wait, is it small?
You-
I thought
it's
it was
really small.
Oh, I thought it was.
It's Matt, I'll send you a picture, but it's
Okay.
notably like
Oh. Oh.
Yep, Matt.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the one that's like the head poking over the building.
No.
Oh, okay.
This Matt, want to know what made this worse?
Hmm.
It's because I'm going back to Teamlabs Borderless. If Teamlabs Borderless was still open, Teamlabs Borderless is like a 10-minute walk from the giant Gundam unicorn statue.
Uh-huh.
And I felt so bad that I didn't get to see my normie friends react to the giant Gundam statue, but I got to see their disappointed faces at the tiny Godzilla statue that sits on top of a underground parking entrance.
It's a good. I like that
Yeah.
area, Jared. Did you guys go see the knockoff Statue of Liberty?
No, we did not. But Matt, 2025. maybe.
25.
But Matt, thank you again for entertaining me for over an hour. But yeah, that was my trip. Next time I see you, I'll definitely give you the Pekara keychain.
Nice.
Matt,
Nice. Mm-hmm.
I know he's not listening, but I got our boy Rakush a Chibi Power acrylic stand for him
Nice.
to put on his desk.
I think he listens to the show.
Well, sorry, Rakush. And yeah, that was essentially my trip to Japan. Of course, Matt, of course, I have to say, ate at Ichiran Ramen like 3 times during my time in Japan.
Nice.
Matt, I love Ichiran Ramen. I know there are like I know Ichiran's like fast food McDonald's ramen, I guess,
Hmm.
just because they're a chain, and I've had a lot of other ramen during the trip. Man, there's something about Ichiran that always hits the spot.
Yeah, I feel that.
And I know during my trip as well, my friend sent me a meme of, oh, it's that meme of with I forget who it is eating that sandwich, and I think the caption that he sent me was me eating at convenience stores for the rest of my Japan trip because I went hard on anime
Uh
figures. But
huh.
Matt,
Hmm.
realist talk,
Uh
like
huh.
I don't mind eating convenience store food when I'm in Japan.
Yo,
Like
I
I
love it.
love convenience store food.
Yeah.
Matt,
Hmm.
want to know how much of a trash man I am?
Okay.
Matt,
Hmm.
every time I went to a convenience store in Japan this trip,
Hmm.
I would get one fried chicken, of
Of
course.
course, of course.
Whether it be from Lawson's, Family Mart, 7-Eleven, I'd get a fried chicken cutlet.
Yeah.
And then I just grab a random bread, whether it be a curry bun, whether it be one of those pancakes. I did a melon pan at one point.
Uh huh.
Matt,
Uh huh.
just cut those open,
Yo.
put your fried chicken cutlet in there, and go to town. Matt, I
Yo.
ate like a garbage man because I would also pair that with like two onigiri. And
Oh man.
I don't know, Matt. I feel like Korean like convenience stores, whether it be like the GS25, I think, or like the CU or like the 7-Eleven, like their bag of drinks on point, Matt. I'll send you the
Hmm.
videos.
Hmm.
But I feel like the food wise doesn't hit as hard as it did in Japan. But
Hmm.
Matt
Hmm.
ate like a garbage person and I wouldn't have it any other way. And
Yeah, that's the way to go.
I think that wraps up my time here in Japan and Korea
Hmm.
2023. Once again, Matt,
Hmm.
thank you for entertaining an hour of me talking about my
Oh,
vacation.
Jaren, thanks for giving us that entertainment about your vacation.
Hopefully, I didn't sound like too big of a sad boy in the beginning. Hopefully, the fact that I'm someone who is a dirt who loves consumerism isn't obvious from here. But Matt,
Hmm.
that was a long form of me saying really appreciate, really thankful that I was able to go. But Matt,
Hmm.
round three,
Yo,
we got to do it up.
2025 or what? 2024? I can't remember what year you said anymore.
One of these days, Matt, because you know what they say, Matt.
Hmm.
Round three is for the boys. Matt,
Yo.
I love that stupid whatever meme saying whatever.
Oh
I've been
man.
saying that a lot.
Hmm.
So 2025, Matt, for the
Yo,
boys,
let's go.
for
Let's
the
go.
mistake
Let's
zone.
go. Let's go.
And finally, shout out to all like the maids and like the cosplayers and whatnot who have to, like stand outside holding the signs in the rain. Matt, I felt real bad
Oh, that's sad, Jared.
because night one in Akihabara, like it was raining for me, and
Uh
then it
huh.
was like not only having to like tell my normie friends that no, they're not escorts, they're just, trying to promote their respective cafes and they're not sketchy cafes.
Hmm.
But man, it was cold and like I felt
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. That kind of sucks.
Oh man. Also, shout out to everyone. Shout out to just being able to like drink in public in Japan because man,
Hmm.
there's something about being on the subway at 9 a.m. and seeing someone passed out holding a can of Strong Zero. I thought that
Nice.
was,
Nice.
I hope they're okay. But Matt,
Hmm.
I know I keep saying all these random asides because they keep coming to me, but one final thing.
Uh
You know
huh.
what really threw me off was we took a taxi at 4 a.m. from our hotel in Osaka
Hmm.
to go to the airport. And Matt,
Hmm.
4 a.m. It's nightlife in Osaka still like going strong.
Uh huh.
And there's just something about like driving by a bunch of people, making sure their friend who's passed out, leaning against the wall is okay.
Uh huh.
And
Hmm.
I also ate Shake Shack a bunch of times
They have Shake Shack
in
in
both
Japan.
Korea, in Japan and Korea.
Oh.
And Matt,
Hmm.
in Korea, I got like this because you know me, if I go to a Shake Shack, I want to get whatever their exclusive item for that region is.
Hmm.
And I know when they open Shake Shack in Toronto, I'm really curious what their exclusive menu item is going to be.
It's probably gonna be like some maple burger or something like that.
Yeah, that's true. I think in Japan, I think their other exclusive stuff revolved around sesame. So it was like a sesame milkshake and I think something else.
Mm-hmm.
And in Japan, in Korea, one of their exclusive things was I don't know what it was. I just pointed to it and asked the clerk to give it to me, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me the milkshake and it had alcohol in it, and I was surprised.
You know what? That's actually like thinking about that now. That seems very Korea to me.
Man, Matt, we went to Korean barbecue on point. What got a lot of, I guess it's just barbecue and fried chicken at that point, but on point both times. Real good times. And Matt, if we can squeeze in Korea in our 2025 trip, maybe we need to do that for the barbecue and the fried chicken because Matt, I don't know, because I haven't been to a lot a Korean barbecue place like in our, in the Toronto area recently, but
Yeah.
the fact that in Korea they have like little exhaust fans that go on top of like your grill to like suck up the smoke and like most of the smell.
Yeah, that's such a good idea.
That was so dope. That was so cool. And I think that's enough of asides for me. I know, Matt, we said we would talk about, if we had time, the Super Mario movie and Suzume, and I think we'll save that for maybe next week. In between possibly some Redfall because I know that comes out next week as well.
Yep.
But
You got to preload it,
for
Jaren?
them, I'm gonna preload it.
Nice.
We'll figure it out.
Jaren, that game's 100 gigs.
Okay, so Matt, I'm gonna also see what I can uninstall from my SSD right now. Matt, my SSD is only 500 gigs, and that's a real issue for me. And
Yeah,
video
just
games
buy
on my
another one. Buy
computer.
another one.
That's the plan, Matt. That's the plan, but that's in a few months purchase because Matt, gotta chill right now. Gotta chill.
Yeah, I feel that.
Well, credit card card's not doing real well right now, but
same.
Matt, thank you again for listening to me ramble for the last hour. Thank you for all our friends out there listening. Hopefully, you found some sort of entertainment there. Want to thank Japan and Korea for housing me for the last 2 weeks, me and my friends. I want to thank Mount Fuji-chan. I want to thank all the restaurants we went to. I want to thank Akihabara. I want to thank Melon Pond. Matt, I want to thank Matcha because if there's one thing that made me feel real bad when I got home was just the fact that quality matcha isn't relatively available.
Yeah.
I want to thank tea cards, which are essentially like the Suka or the Presso cards in Korea. Shout out to the fact that you can get fun designs on them, Matt. My partner has a One Piece tea card that we bought.
Nice.
I have I think it was a Cacao Friends tea card, Matt. We felt bad for not buying the BTS tea card because I think that would have been a real good goof. Now I want to thank Wendy from Red Velvet because I put my hand in her handprint in that K-pop wall of fame thing. Wendy's she's the Canadian one, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Wendy. I want to thank 7-Eleven. I want to thank Teamlabs. I want to thank this shoe store I bought shoes from, and then they gave me this VIP card that they only give tourists, which I felt pretty cool about.
That's a good goof. That's a good goof, actually.
I want to shout out the Riot employees who were silently judging me but didn't directly laugh in my face, but probably did laugh at me when I left.
Oh, man.
I want to thank all the people in Japan who put up with my broken Japanese. I want to thank Hatsune Miku. Matt, I bought a Hatsune Miku folder.
Nice.
All my tax stuff is in it right now.
Nice.
And yeah, Matt, I want to thank...
Oh, man, have you done your taxes, Jared? It's like the last
I
day.
did my taxes.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, it's the last day. Matt, I made a boo-boo in my taxes because I didn't know contributions are only in effect from March to February, so I made my contributions in March 2023, so they're not applicable to my taxes that I was doing. So
Oh no, you lied
that
on
was
your
dumb of
taxes.
me.
Okay.
Please be. I didn't lie on my taxes. I just didn't say that I did or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Matt, taxes are. I should have went to an accountant. uh, Matt, let's just say that my returns only covered maybe 2/3 of my damage.
That's not bad, Jared. That's not bad.
And I want to thank the Love Hotels in Ikebukuro. I want to thank the curry buns. And Matt, before we go, never ever have I experienced so much anxiety than taking taxis in Korea because Matt, I could never drive in Osaka. I could never drive in Korea just because there are masters at driving because Matt, for the amount of cars that drive through all like the different alleyways and markets and stuff,
Yeah.
anxiety inducing. I could never do it. For all the traffic you see in Korea, especially like in the downtown like Seoul and like just all the major roadways, Matt couldn't do it. I'd have so much anxiety. But yeah, shout out to all the drivers who know how to drive because I would have been crying the whole time.
Yeah, I feel that.
And that was my vacation. That's where I've been for the last 2 weeks. And that, I think that's all the stories I have for now.
Yeah.
And until next week, where we will possibly talk about some Redfall, the Super Mario Brothers movie, the new, not really new, but we'll probably talk about Susume in some regard. So look out for that. And Matt, thank you again. And please take it away.
This has been the Mistake Zone, and we're all out of BAPE tax refunds.
Matt, it's a pretty sizable tax refund, too. Combo Wade from Saturday Morning Arcade Generation 1. It's Jaren Wade Dio. Matt, let's make some mistakes today.
Hi.
Yoroshiku.
Yoroshiku.
Onegaishimasu.
Hi, Matta desu.
Okay, Matt, I'm ready. You told me idol episode this week, and I'm good to go.
Okay, Jaren, let's talk idols.
Okay, Matt. I'm a bit, Matt, I'm a bit under the weather because I told you I was going to fly in a bit earlier than expected from my vacation. And, I took a nap a bit, but I'm good to go now. I told you I would be here for this week's episode. I watched some Oshi this week, and where's Rakush? I thought he was going to join us this week for the Idol episode, and, really pumped to talk about it.
Yeah. You know what? I think he's just late right now. We can start without him. If you want to talk idols,
Okay.
let's talk idols, Jaren.
Okay, Matt. As you guys know, I was in Japan for the last week. I believe it's the last week. And Matt. So we all know what the current hotness is right now. It's Oshi, right?
Yes.
And I saw a lot of ads for it, not only on TV, but on some billboards, plastered around Shibuya. And, I may have went, okay, I did go with some friends. And a few of them asked me, oh, this seems like a new anime. Have you watched it? And I said, yeah, manga's like 100 chapters in right now. I'm a bit behind, I still haven't started reading Oshi, but Matt, I need to pretend that I'm deep into Oshi. You know what I mean?
Yo. You can't just comment when the anime is popping. You have to been there from the beginning.
So Matt, when the mistake zone goes, when we end this episode, I think I need you to give me a crash course on Oshi. So. Luckily, this isn't being recorded, of course. This is our pre-show, and I think that was a good goof. And I think I'll start for real now. Okay, Matt?
Okay.
Cool.
Jaren, I don't know what's happening anymore. Jaren, I feel like we've started the show 2 or 3 times already, and I don't know what's actually going into this recording.
Matt, that idol greetings goof was in my head all week, and I thought it would go a lot better than it did. My sides hurt.
Oh, man.
I'll start the show for real, but I swear to God, for the last 2 weeks, I was thinking that idol introduction goof, and I thought this is going to be so good. This is going to be such a good... Matt's going to pop. We're going to have a lot of laughs. And then, Matt, it was that thing where the moment it was leaving my mouth, I'm like, oh no, maybe it's because I'm not committing 100% to this.
Jared, I honestly don't know if this is going to be the episode or not.
No, don't put it in the episode.
Oh, man. Maybe I'll put it at the end. Okay.
My sides hurt. Okay.
Okay, Jared, let's go for real. I'm gonna count down.
Go. For real.
Okay.
Okay.
5, 4, 3,